If Excel crawls the moment your file gets big, you're not imagining it. The lag usually comes from a few hidden speed taxes that pile up: calculation, formatting, links, and bloated data structures. The good news is you don't need a new computer or a full rebuild. You need a short checklist that targets the real bottlenecks. In the next minutes, you'll get 9 fixes that consistently make large workbooks feel normal again. Some are click toggles, some are structural changes that stop the file from growing out of control, and a few are about preventing Excel from doing work you never asked it to do. The goal is simple: faster opening, faster recalculation, faster filtering and saving, and fewer moments where Excel freezes and you wonder if your work is gone. Let's start with the one setting that quietly destroys performance in big models. Next step. Fix number 1 is controlling calculation. In large files, Excel may recalculate far more often than you think, after edits, after paste, after sorting, sometimes even after opening. If your workbook has heavy formulas, that can turn every small change into a multi-second pause. The practical approach is to switch to manual calculation while you're editing, then calculate only when you choose. That single change often removes the type weight feeling. The trade-off is obvious. Your results can be temporarily out of date. So build a habit. Do your edits in manual mode, then run a full calculate before you trust totals or export results. Also watch for workbooks that accidentally flip calculation back, especially if you open multiple files. If you share the file, tell others what mode it's in so they don't panic when numbers don't update instantly. This fix doesn't change your model. It just stops Excel from doing expensive work at the worst possible time. Next step. Fix number 2 is auditing volatile functions. A volatile function recalculates more often than normal formulas, even when the cells it depends on didn't change. In small sheets, you never notice. In big workbooks, volatility can dominate your calculation time. Common examples are now, today, rand, and rand between. Offset and indirect are also frequent culprits because they force Excel to reevaluate references broadly. The solution is not never use them. It's to use them intentionally. Replace volatile timestamps with a static value when you only need a date once. Replace offset with index in many cases. Replace indirect with structured references or direct ranges when possible. If randomness is only for testing, isolate it on a separate sheet and turn it off when you're done. The key idea is simple. Reduce formulas that recalc just because. That change can cut recalculation time dramatically without changing the outcome of your model. Next step. Fix number 3 is limiting your ranges and cleaning up used range bloat. Excel decides what to store and process partly based on what it thinks is used. If you once formatted 1,000,000 rows or pasted data far below your table, Excel may keep that area in the used range. That makes saving slower, increases file size, and can slow down navigation. The fix is to keep your data in real tables or clearly bounded ranges. Avoid full column references like AA and heavy formulas, especially with lookups and array-style calculations. Instead, point to a table column or a realistic range. If you inherited a workbook, check for empty rows and columns that still have formatting, borders, or conditional formatting applied. Clearing excess formatting and deleting truly unused rows and columns can shrink the workbook and reduce work Excel does in the background. This is one of the least glamorous fixes, but it's a classic reason a file feels heavy, even when the visible data isn't that big. Next step. Fix number 4 is simplifying conditional formatting. Conditional formatting is great, but it can become a performance trap when rules are stacked, duplicated, or applied to massive ranges. Every time Excel recalculates or redraws, it may evaluate those rules. In a large workbook, that can add noticeable lag when scrolling, filtering, or editing. The practical approach is to reduce both the number of rules and the size of the ranges they apply to. Prefer one rule that covers a table instead of many overlapping rules. Remove duplicate rules that crept in through copy and paste. Be cautious with formulas inside conditional formatting, because they can be expensive, and avoid applying rules to entire columns unless you truly need it. If the formatting is nice to have rather than essential, consider replacing it with simpler visual cues, like a helper column that calculates a status once. Your workbook should communicate clearly, but it shouldn't pay a constant performance cost for decoration. Next step, fix number 5, is optimizing lookups and references. Lookups are often the biggest formula workload in business spreadsheets. If you're doing thousands of lookups across multiple sheets, small inefficiencies multiply fast. Start by using exact match logic when you can, because approximate matches can add complexity and risk. Next, avoid referencing entire columns and lookup arrays for large datasets. Use tables or bounded ranges so Excel isn't scanning unnecessary space. Also consider whether you're repeating the same lookup in many columns. If you are, pull the result once, then reference that cell. Another common issue is using many separate lookups when a single key could retrieve multiple fields from a small mapping table. Consolidate where possible. And watch for lookups that point to other workbooks or network locations, because that adds latency and can trigger link updates. The goal is fewer lookups over smaller ranges, with results reused instead of recomputed. Next step, fix number 6, is controlling pivot table and query refresh behavior. Pivots and data connections are powerful, but they can refresh at the worst times: on open, on file save, or when you didn't intend to update anything. In a large file, that can feel like Excel is stuck before you even start working. The fix is to refresh intentionally. Turn off refresh on open unless you truly need it. If you have multiple pivots built from the same source, make sure they share a cache where possible, because separate caches increase memory and can slow the workbook. Also check whether your pivots store source data. Storing it can make the file much larger. Sometimes that's worth it for portability, but often it's not. If you're using Power Query, be deliberate about which queries load to sheets and which only load to the data model. Loading everything to worksheets is a common reason files balloon and slow down. Next step, fix number 7, is reducing workbook bloat from shapes, images, and objects. Large files aren't always large because of data. They can be large because of hundreds of copied icons, hidden shapes, old charts, or pictures that were pasted at high resolution. These objects can slow opening, saving, and even simple actions like selecting cells. The fix is to audit what's really necessary. Delete decorative shapes that don't add meaning. Compress or replace oversized images. If you have charts that are no longer used, remove them instead of hiding them. Also be cautious with embedded objects like PDFs or other files, because they can inflate size quickly. Another sneaky source is excessive named ranges and old defined names that reference huge areas. Clean up names that are no longer used. The mindset here is keep the workbook as a data tool first and a design canvas second. Clean design is good, heavy design is expensive. Next step, fix number 8, is controlling data volume and structure. Excel can handle a lot, but it's not a database. If you're storing repeated text, merged cells, or wide tables with many blank columns, you're making Excel work harder than necessary. Start by converting raw ranges into proper tables. Tables give Excel clear boundaries and make formulas more efficient and readable. Next, normalize your data when possible. Instead of repeating the same long text label thousands of times, use a key and a separate lookup table. Keep your data types clean. Numbers as numbers, dates as dates, because mixed types can slow calculations and break filters. If you're importing data, filter and aggregate earlier in the process so Excel receives only what you need. And if you truly need millions of rows, consider using the data model and measures instead of worksheet formulas. The big idea is to store data in a way that Excel can process efficiently, not just in a way that looks convenient. Next step, fix number 9, is managing external links, network paths, and file hygiene. Large workbooks often depend on other files, links to monthly reports, shared drives, or old templates. When Excel opens, it may try to resolve those links, check paths, and update values. If a linked file is missing or on a slow network, your workbook can hang. The fix is to reduce and stabilize links. Break links you no longer need. Move critical source files to predictable locations. Avoid chaining links, where one workbook links to another that links to another. Also keep versions clean. If the workbook has been copied for years, it may carry legacy names, old connections, and unused styles. A practical habit is to save a clean, optimized copy after you remove clutter. And if macros exist, review whether they run automatically on open or on change. A single event macro can create constant slowdowns that look like Excel being Excel. Next step. Now let's turn these 9 fixes into a fast troubleshooting order, because sequence matters. Start with calculation mode, because it gives you immediate control over the pain. Next, identify volatility and heavy formulas, because that's usually the core workload. Then shrink ranges and clean conditional formatting, because those are silent multipliers. After that, optimize lookups and reduce repeated calculations, because that's where big models often waste time. Then, handle pivots, queries, and refresh settings, because background refresh can sabotage everything else. Finally, clean bloat and external links, because those slow opening, saving, and stability. If you do it in this order, you'll usually feel improvements after the first 2 steps, which makes it easier to stay motivated for the cleanup steps. Also, change one thing at a time and test. Performance work is like tuning an engine. If you adjust 5 knobs at once, you won't know what actually helped. Small, controlled changes win. Next step. A few quick warning signs can help you pinpoint the culprit faster. If Excel is slow when typing or editing, that's usually calculation, volatility, or conditional formatting. If it's slow when opening or saving, think file size bloat, stored pivot data, images, or external links. If it's slow when filtering, sorting, or scrolling, that often points to huge used ranges, too many formatting rules, or complex formulas across large areas. If the file freezes at specific moments, like after you paste data, it may be recalculating a large dependency chain or refreshing connections. The reason this matters is that each fix has a best fit. You don't want to spend an hour cleaning shapes if the real issue is a volatile offset formula, copied down 200,000 rows. Use the symptom to choose the first fix. Then validate by measuring how the workbook feels after each change. You're not guessing. You're isolating the bottleneck like a professional. Next step. To keep large files fast long-term, adopt a few maintenance habits. First, design with boundaries. Use tables and avoid entire column references in formulas. Second, keep formulas predictable. Prefer simpler functions and reuse results instead of recalculating the same logic everywhere. Third, treat formatting like seasoning, not the main ingredient. Apply it to the smallest range that communicates the message. Fourth, be intentional with refresh. Only refresh pivots and queries when you need updated data. Fifth, keep your workbook clean. Remove unused sheets, old charts, and dead connections before they accumulate. And when a model becomes mission critical, consider splitting it. One file for data prep, one for reporting, and one for analysis. That separation reduces risk and keeps each file lighter. None of this is complicated. It's just disciplined. Excel performs best when you tell it exactly what to calculate, exactly what to store, and exactly what to format. No more, no less. Next step. Let's wrap this up. When Excel runs slow with large files, the fix is rarely mysterious. It's usually calculation overload, volatile formulas, oversized ranges, heavy conditional formatting, inefficient lookups, uncontrolled refresh, workbook bloat, messy data structure, or external link drag. If you apply the 9 fixes in a calm, methodical way, you can usually turn a painful workbook into something you can actually work in again. If you want one place to start with calculation mode and volatile functions. Those two often deliver the fastest relief. Now I'm curious about your situation. In the comments, which is the bigger problem for you? Slow recalculation or slow opening and saving? And if you want more practical Excel performance checklists like this, hit the subscription button once so you don't miss the next one. Subscribe to keep optimizing your workflow and get back more of your time.